Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
Beat me if you can! Come on!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my good brother from Within the Ropes and the Bullet Cast. It's BrianTronic. How's it going, man?
It is going great, Huey. I'm glad to be here. I feel great.
So excited to have you back with me. We have so much to talk about this week. We're going to talk some clickbait news, talk some WWE weekend for WWE shows, and we're going to talk some AEW Dynamite last night. Very exciting episode of Beach Break, their annual, I was going to say beach themed show, but
Yeah.
which I think of spring or summertime, but it always takes place in January in winter. But
Oh yeah, and there's no beach.
yeah, that's a whole nother thing we'll get into. Actually, it was in Cleveland last night. I guess technically there are beaches in Cleveland, but it's too cold, man, because they have a lake there.
True.
So that's the beach. But,
Right.
so yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm looking forward to it. So you and I, we're going to just go through the highlights of all that stuff. But first, get into some clickbait news. And actually, this is more or less a review, but I do want to touch on it. So, this past, was it Sunday? GCW had their big pay-per-view live on Fight TV. It was called The Wrld On GCW, live from the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City. Legendary venue. Brian, you and I, we pop looking or seeing that ballroom on TV. Just historically, like so many events have taken place there, right?
Definitely.
I'm trying to think.
It was special seeing it. It looked a little different. Almost looked bigger.
Yeah. It's so the Hammerstein Ballroom. It's a legendary venue in New York City. They've had a variety of events go on there. I'm trying to think. Was Raw? Raw used to be there back in the day, right? Like in the '90s, early '90s. I'm trying to think. Remember the episode where Bobby the Brain Heenan was trying to get back? He got kicked out and he was trying to get back in. I think that's the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Okay.
So many other events have taken place there. I think more recently, in the last, 15 years, ECW had their one-night stand pay-per-views under the WWE umbrella there, like 2005 and 2006.
Yep.
And what's cool about the ballroom is, it's like stacked. Like, you notice that? Like the crowd, they're like in sections, and it's like, I don't know. It's a little scary because I'm like, I feel like people can lean over and like, there's not a lot of holding them up, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's a very nice venue, very unique, and it's to me it's like up there with the Madison Square Gardens. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. I honestly wish more wrestling companies would run that at least once. I mean, it doesn't always have to be like an ECW or an Extreme Tribute or anything like that, but just to give it a different, unique feel to whatever TV show, whether it's Raw or SmackDown or Impact, or I would say Impact's more likely to run something like that, just because they probably don't have as many fans loyal enough to fill it up, but maybe you never know.
Yeah, the thing is, I think also in recent years, I think Ring of Honor was running a lot of shows out of there as well. Mm-hmm. So it was gaining some wrestling love by way of Ring of Honor. But yeah, so GCW a few months ago announced that they're going to have a big pay-per-view there. This was, I guess, technically the largest venue that they were trying to book a show out of. And they sold it out. So for this, quote, independent wrestling promotion, which a lot of people consider to be the third largest promotion in North America now, or at least in the U.S.,
Right.
and that could be up for debate. As far as popularity, I can see that, but maybe from a business standpoint, I can maybe see Impact still be the larger company. But yeah, so they announced this big pay-per-view at the Hammerstein Ballroom, sold out, and people are excited. It's like, wow, this really shows how popular GCW is. So yeah, the show started, and yeah, I'm with you. Like the Hammerstein Ballroom, it looked different. I guess it had a different paint job. Mm-hmm. If you look at the old like ECW One Night Stand pay-per-views, it had the old like tan, brownish color. This looked like gray. Is that right? Did you notice that it was like a gray color all around?
Definitely like a gray color. Kind of threw me off. I was like, wait, where
is that really there? This is not Hammerstein Ballroom, but it was also an interesting setup. Like, I guess the stage where maybe bands would play, that looked like that was the ramp that the wrestlers will walk down and then walk down the stairs to the ring in the middle of the main floor, and then all the seats above looking down on it. So, and they had a pretty cool aerial shot. I think like during the pay-per-view, I was like, oh, that really cool. Shows how packed it is.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about you. Did you notice that ring seemed a little small? That was...
It did. It didn't seem like
full size.
Yeah, it didn't seem full size at all. And you can especially notice when you're in a venue like that. Again, that's probably why it felt so like there was more space in that building. Because like usually it's like packed. Like you can put like a guardrail and stuff around, but then there's not much floor space. Like there was floor, and I mean maybe it's because they didn't have very much mat down either. Like it was like
I noticed that too.
Very small pieces of mat at a ringside, but. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's up with the small rings.
I mean, it's like them, MLW have small rings. I mean, as far as bigger, normal size, I think of, WWE, AEW, Impact. I think they have a regular size ring. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. So it's interesting when some promotions use a smaller ring. I don't know if it's cheaper that way, or I'm always kind of curious. Like for me, when I see a small ring, I'm like, oh, it seems more clutter. Like guys are just bumping into each other easier, and it's kind of it's harder, I think, to move around. So I prefer the more bigger, normal size ring. But unfortunately, I miss the kickoff show. They had the Pabst Blue Ribbon, which is the sponsor, kickoff battle royal. And they also had a Pabst Blue Ribbon kickoff scramble match. I missed both, unfortunately, but I mean, they're both available on YouTube if you want to go back and watch it. But it looks like Big Vin won by last eliminating Charles Mason in the Battle Royal. And then Grim Reaper defeated Alex Zane, Dante Leon, Shane Mercer, Jack Cartwheel, and Ninja Mac in the scramble match. So I got to go back and watch it. Our buddy Richard says it was really good, pretty entertaining stuff. So I got to check it out. The main show itself, and we have to go. We don't have to go through all these matches per se. I guess for you, I'll start with this. What were kind of your overall takes of the show itself?
Well, I think for me, it like I went into it like, okay, I'm gonna really give this a shot. It's got a lot of hype on it. Let me see what happens. And I went into it, and it definitely felt like an attempt to bring like an ECW feel. It almost felt like if you didn't know like who was going to be on the card or what was going on, or if there was no label on it like GCW, like you would almost think it was an ECW event, like you were getting ready to watch like a reunion or something like that.
Extreme.
And
for Paul Heyman. Joey Styles. Oh my God! Can't fight!
Bill Alfonso runs out there.
We did get a Bill Alfonso sighting, which I popped for, and Sabu, who I just saw 2 weekends ago. It was such a trip. I was waiting for Joey Styles to go total elimination. Sorry for the old school ECW fans. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But sorry, we're saying. But yeah, the whole ECW vibe was very much a presence there.
Yeah, it was, and the matches were okay, I think. But I think a lot of them were overbooked.
Yeah. The Matt Cardona match.
Like that one was really overbooked. I think the best match had to be
the
Blake
Luchadors.
Christian.
Oh yeah,
I liked Blake Christian and
Lio Rush. Yeah,
and it was supposed to be Blake Christian and Gresham, right?
Yeah, but apparently Gresham couldn't make it last minute.
Yeah, something like that.
And also, like, apparently Nick Wayne was supposed to wrestle, but I guess the rumor was like New York City Commission wouldn't allow him to wrestle because he's 16 years old.
Yeah,
which is interesting because we've seen Nick Wayne wrestle out here at West Coast Pro Wrestling. You know, he's based up in Washington State, so he's, you know, we know him on the West Coast. So it's kind of bum. I guess him and his mom flew all the way there, and then like last minute was told he couldn't wrestle. But I think Joey Janella said he wanted to make it up to him. He's like, "Who do you want to wrestle? I'll make it up to you." And I think Nick Wayne said he wanted to wrestle. Oh my God, New Japan Pro Wrestling. The champ who just lost to Okada, Will Ospreay.
Will Ospreay, that's right.
So I don't know. We'll see if that happens or not.
Yeah.
But I was with you, man. I'm watching this, and like, literally, if you did not tell me it was GCW or like the logo was not present, I would have swore this was an ECW show, like an ECW revival, or as you and I talked off the air, we both watched ECW live back in the day in the 90s. And so just the whole vibe, the presentation, it just had that ECW feel, which was pretty cool. And listen, I'm not going to act like I'm some GCW expert. I mean, I've seen clips online and you know, on Twitter and stuff and Instagram. But like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't know much about these people, the roster. So for me, I was very much going into this blind, be like, okay, like I think a lot of people tuning in for the first time, it's like, all right, show me what you got. And if I dig it, I'll keep watching. Yeah. So I'm sure they probably had a little pressure on them to deliver just for their own, you know, to increase their popularity and their exposure.
And to live up to all the hype, you know? Yeah.
And that's something maybe we can end on the discussion about is, did they live up to it and where they go from here? But I mean, very much I felt like it was a love letter to ECW. And you know, from the clips I've seen online, I mean, I felt like GCW, from my impression, I think a lot of people, they're known a lot for their death matches and Nick Gage and what he does. And I was like, and I see a lot of their stuff, and I was like, this reminds me of ECW a little bit. But then they do have some like good, just regular matches and stuff. And I'm like, oh, very much like ECW, because ECW wasn't always extreme. I mean, it was more like no rules, but at least they still have amazing wrestling as well.
Right.
So, you know, watching all this, I was like, this very much does feel like ECW. And, I was digging a lot of it. There were some matches that, you know, were not as good as others. It was, you know, some of these people, little botches and just, you know, not as smooth and technical. You know, we might see like in WWE or AEW or New Japan, but nonetheless, like an A for effort as far as them going out there. I'm sure a lot of people, they were probably nervous. It's like their biggest crowd they've ever wrestled in front of. The other thing too that was just kind of interesting is, with GCW, it's, you know, I saw someone a graph on Instagram. It was like, back in the 90s, it was WWF, WCW, ECW. Now we got...
I've seen that too.
Oh, WWE, AEW, and GCW. So it's very much how much, you know, history repeats itself in many ways. So, like, you know, for the card itself, that Grab the Brass Ring ladder match, that was interesting to watch. You know, AJ Gray, PCO, Alex Colon, G Raver, Tony Deppen, Jimmy Lloyd, and Jordan Oliver all wrestling, trying to get the brass ring, and the winner will receive a match of their choosing at any time. The thing that stuck out to me, AJ Gray, who is the current West Coast Pro Wrestling champion, took that nasty fall off the ladder. Like,
and I thought, I honestly thought he did it on purpose. Like I thought he was just
trying to deliver an elbow to the ladder, like he was trying to punch the ladder. The way he just fell right onto it.
Yeah, I thought he was doing it on purpose to kind of, I don't know, just do something crazy to get the fans excited. I don't know, but apparently he slipped, and I missed the slip, and I hope he's all right.
He said, he's fine, but despite that botch, he still walked away as picking up the brass ring. And he was supposed to have a match with Eddie Kingston that night, but Eddie Kingston couldn't make it or whatever. So he got thrown in this match.
I think Eddie might be injured now too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I'd read something about him being sidelined for a while. So.
Oh no.
I think it was either that. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was either that or COVID. It's so many people that are out.
Yeah,
it's either that or COVID. It's either that or COVID, or maybe both.
Let's see. Sure. Let me do a quick. Let's see. A couple days ago, Eddie Kingston picks up an injury, out for unspecified time. Yeah. So, and and it sucks because him and Jericho were kind of starting that little feud on TV. So I guess that's on the back burner right now. But it was also interesting. I'm watching this, and the commentary, it was a little jarring to hear how much cussing they were doing.
Yes.
Which, for me, full disclosure, I work in, terrestrial radio. And so when I'm on the air, I got to speak clean, and I can't cuss. I'm not allowed to cuss. When I'm on the air, I never have that mentality of just saying whatever I want and just cussing. Right. We have a running joke, talk on the air how you talk to your grandma. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like the mentality. So when I'm listening to the commentators just cussing up a storm or calling people out, saying stuff, I'm like, whoa. Granted, like I said, I don't watch GCW regularly, so it was kind of mind-boggling. Like, whoa, hearing commentators just cuss up a storm. Which, when I hear that, I'm like, if they're trying to go for a more mainstream audience, now granted, it is pay-per-view, so you can get away with stuff like that. But if you're trying to get like a TV deal or something, you might have to clean it up. That's my mentality from a business standpoint.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, that was kind of interesting to hear. One of the matches of the night was probably the trios match. Team Gringo defeated Team Bandito. I mean, just watch it for all the crazy spots there, man. Anything that stood out for you in that one?
So the clip, I know it's posted on Twitter, of the two guys doing the backflip off of the top turnbuckle. Or one, it was like from the inside out. I forget exactly.
Well, I remember the one they were like all three were stacked. Like, it was one guy,
and then they were punching each other.
Yeah,
and then the top guys fell off, and then they all kind of just collapsed. And then that was another really good spot.
And then like a big Hurricanrana, I think, at some point as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So the match was insane, very entertaining. The crowd loved it. It got them going. Blake Christensen, who was in NXT last year, kind of reestablishing himself on the indie scene. I thought he cut a pretty good promo before his match, saying like, "Hey, I was supposed to wrestle Gresham, but I still want to fight tonight." Lio Rush came out and answered the call, which we'll talk about Lio Rush in a second. Great match there, as you mentioned. That was your match of the night, right? You said.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah.
So Blake Christensen, I mean, I think it's great for him kind of reestablish his character, and I thought that was a good promo to get the crowd going. Yeah. Next up was probably the most overbooked match of the whole night. Matt Cardona with Chelsea Green in his corner, his wife, taking on Joey Janella. People, and I would think maybe the GCW fan base specifically, they like to crap on WWE for their overbooking.
Yeah.
This match had a ton of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, between, Hornswoggle, Brian Myers, right? Is it Brian Myers? Yeah, Brian Myers come out. Yep. I mean, Chelsea Green doing her thing in the ring as well. There was a lot going on here.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like, what is going on?
You know what, though? Matt Cardona, I was actually happy for him. I smiled when I seen him make his entrance, and just seeing how focused and happy he is doing what he's doing right now after, I forget how many years he was in WWE, but I know it had to be close to 10 or a little over 10, right? So the fact that he's doing his thing, and I honestly think that he, like, if wrestling had an award show, I believe, like, kind of like the NBA, I believe he'd be most improved wrestler of the year, because he's really making it, like, he's continuing to make sure his name is out there, make sure people are talking about him, and I like it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, he's really reinvented himself. He's definitely, he knows he's a former WWE guy, and that's what he's known for. So he is definitely the opposite of what fans in GCW want to see in the ring. So he plays that up. He comes off as the ultimate heel, the ultimate villain. Like, I'm a former WWE guy. and like, look at me. I'm amazing in shape. I'm a great wrestler, all that. He's the polar opposite of what a GCW wrestler is. And, he had matches with Nick Gage and some other people on the roster over the last, however long he's been there, since last year. So it's, to his credit, he knows how to go after that audience and get that heat from them. It's just being this over-the-top character.
I've seen a lot of people were upset over, all the WWE stuff that he did in there, obviously, with the Mick Foley references and the callback to
Edge.
Edge with
Brian Myers had the helmet and the leather jacket. I was like, oh, it's funny.
Oh my god!
I mean, the thing was, like, the match was almost 20 minutes, and it felt like it went on longer. So, the match, it was the longest match on the card, and they probably could have cut it a lot shorter. But yeah, they had so much overbooking in there. Yeah, it went way too long, and so I can see why some people were frustrated with this match. And it's like, okay, you could have done the same story, but just done it shorter.
Oh yeah.
And so, he actually picked up the win over Joey Janela. But Matt Cardone, to his credit, he's been doing GCW stuff. He's a former GCW champion last year. He's doing stuff with Impact Wrestling. He's doing stuff with NWA. So he is kind of being like a free agent, just roaming around, like very much like an old school wrestler was in the territories. He's just going from place to place. So to his credit, hey, more power to him. And then, like, I don't know if this really was technically a match, but they just kind of threw it together. It was Second Gear Crew. We see Mance Warner come out to the ring. And, he gets attacked by, it's 44OH. Am I pronouncing that right? Those guys?
Think so.
Yeah, like I said, I don't watch a lot of GCWs. I'm like a little lost. They start attacking him. Mance Warner, he's injured, but he didn't want to miss the show, so he's out there. And then his tag team partner, Matthew Justice, comes out. And then sure enough, Sabu comes out with Bill Alfonso with the whistle. And Sabu pointing to the sky, which, shout out to Sabu. He had a mask on. I thought that was very smart, very responsible of him. A lot of people in that small room, so he's probably like, I gotta protect myself. So shout out to Sabu, but he threw the chair. They're all throwing chairs at each other. Sabu, he can't really take any bumps now, so he'll make appearances, but you give him a chair, he'll throw it at someone. But Bill Alfonso, man, he looks great for his age. I think he looks better now than he did 20 years ago. It's good to get away from the ring for a while.
Definitely.
But that was awesome. Ruby Soho next up took on Alley Catch, which about 10 minutes long. Great showing for both ladies. Ruby Soho, obviously from AEW, so get some more star power on the card. Anything from that match stood out for you?
Not much. Not much, really. I think, again, it was another match that I think was under promoted, overlooked. I think, obviously, when you have a card with Cardone, who, like I said, has been doing some of the best work of anyone, really, just being consistent, being a jerk that he is, that he plays out to be. When you have someone like him on the card, when you have, all these different indie guys that a lot of people love, when you have, John Moxley on the card. It's just, I feel like it kind of takes away, especially when you don't build it up to be something. I mean, there wasn't much like build up to the event already as it is, but I mean, we're talking pay-per-view. It just, you want to put a little more effort. And that's, I guess, another issue that I have with just the show altogether is that I wish it was pushed and played up to be like, a big show, because, they did have a lot of odds. A lot of people, I mean, I was on Twitter scrolling the entire day. People were like, man, I can't wait for GCW. And I never see or hear people talk about GCW like that. But I mean, it's long winded, but yeah, I thought the match was good. Ruby Soho out here grinding, I mean, whether she's on AEW TV, Dynamite and Rampage. She's on the Indies working for any and every promotion. So she's talented, and it just makes me so mad because, like, man, I wish WWE used her more.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think for a lot of them, that's their motivation since being released from WWE. Is I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove that you made the wrong decision, and I'm gonna go out there and become a bigger star than what you could have handled with me. So. Match I was really surprised with Jeff Jarrett taking on Effie. Yeah. Jeff Jarrett looked great, man. He looked jacked.
Jeff, man.
I was like, what?
Jeff looking like he could do this for, a good year.
I mean, I love Jeff Jarrett. I think he has one of the best punches in pro wrestling all time. Him, Jerry Lawler, there was someone else from Tennessee. I'm totally blanking, and my brother's going to kill me for not knowing. But, there's a handful of people who are like throw amazing work punches in pro wrestling, and Jeff Jarrett is one of them. So definitely. I've always been a fan. But
Jerry Lawler got a nice punch too.
What's that?
Jerry Lawler's got a nice punch too.
Dude, the whole the whole Tennessee scene back in the day, Mid-South. But it was definitely interesting seeing Jeff Jarrett as like this lone wolf, or ranger. I was gonna say
probably ranger,
but he like comes out all black and he's like a cowboy, and I was like, this is interesting, something different. All right, he's the old school veteran coming in, which I was really amazed that they brought Jarrett, Ruby Soho, some of these outsiders coming in, which I want to touch on that as well. But yeah, he picked up the victory over Effie, which I was really surprised because Effie's like one of the old school originals.
Yep.
And that was the other thing. He comes out to Elton John and they played that, and that went on the pay-per-view. I'm like, did they have the music rights for that? I mean, there were a few other songs. I forgot. Speaking of songs that they were playing that they probably didn't own the rights to, was when X-Pac came out.
Yep.
They're playing the DX music. I'm like, I don't think you have the rights to that. They'll be playing it on pay-per-view.
They're just breaking all the rules. Very ECW-like, if you ask me.
They broke it down. They break it down. But yeah, ECW, they used to play just the actual songs, and they had to get like, parody cover versions of them.
Yeah, just like their titles.
Yeah, exactly. But because X-Pac came out for the save on Second Gear Crew, right? That's when he came out and made the save there. I'm trying to remember now. I think it was there, or was it Joey Janela?
I think it was Cardone and Joey.
That's
Janela.
right, it was Cardone, because Cardone was like, and he did a post-match interview and said, DX is dead. That's right. Yeah, X-Pac came out to save for Joey Janela against Matt Cardone and his crew. Again, X-Pac, he's cleared to wrestle again, so this is probably
that's cool, man.
First attempt for him to come back. Yeah, I think so. Hopefully for the Rumble. So, X-Pac looked great making the save, and then, but yeah, Jeff Jarrett, wins here, and it was a pretty good match. Like I said, I don't know a lot about Effie and his in-ring style, but he was definitely kind of just throwing his arms around the air and stuff like that, which is
Karrion Kross said, or Killer Kross rather, said on his live stream a couple days ago that was his favorite match on the show.
Oh, really?
So
okay,
so
right on.
Interesting.
Next up for the GCW World Championship, it was Moxley and Homicide, which a lot of people were kind of shocked. It's like, wait, this is the main event already? And like the tag titles I thought were going to be on the bill. So a little switcheroo there. This is Moxley's first match back with GCW since he's been out on rehab. And, I know he had a match on Rampage a couple days before that. Yep. And we saw the tease of him and Bryan Danielson. So maybe we're going to get that feud in AEW soon. So we'll see. But yeah, Homicide and him, pretty good match. I wish they could have gotten a little bit more time. Moxley was getting a lot of offense in, but probably the highlight, Brian, was the crowd saying "F you, Bully Ray, F you, Bully Ray," for his comments. He sent a Busted Open Radio last week saying Moxley, when he made his return to AEW, he said great promo, but he owed an apology to the fans, and everyone was like, "Screw you, Bully Ray." No, he doesn't. He's taking care of his health. You don't need to apologize to anything. Yeah. So the crowd heard that, and they let Bully Ray know you're not welcome at GCW. Bully Ray probably loved the heat he was getting.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he did.
Anything from that match for you stood out?
Not really. I think it was very shorter than what I thought. I feel like Mox, even his match from Rampage, I feel like he's trying to get caught up, get his legs under him or catch it, get his just get back in that mode. He's very lean too, so I don't know if he's lost any strength or anything, but maybe, because I was thinking that too. I was like, wow, he's really back in his second match since since he left for rehab is going to be at a GCW event. I was like, is he ready for that? I don't is his body ready for that? So it seemed very it went by pretty quick, and I think it had a lot to do with this only being his second match. So obviously he wasn't going to go crazy or do too much. But I'm happy for him, man. And again, he looks great. The Bully Ray chance was pretty crazy. And I was waiting to see if Mox was going to respond to it. I think him and Homicide were just getting ready to lock up when they started it. Yeah. So, but the match overall was good.
Yeah. And, Homicide, if you missed him at West Coast Pro Wrestling earlier this month, he will be back in a couple of weeks, February 11th. The Art of Drowning over at the State Room in South San Francisco. So get your tickets. He will be teaming up with Jacob Fatu and taking on, I think, is it Team GCW, more or less, right? Let me. That's what Effie's making his first appearance with.
That's right. I'm excited to see Effie.
Where is it? Oh, Nick Wayne's going to be at Art of Drowning as well. Oh, wow. Yeah. Gringo Loco as well. Oh, man, it's like a lot of GCW people on this card. So Jacob Fatu and Homicide versus Second Gear Crew of Effie and AJ Gray. So, it's pretty much Team West Coast. Or no, wait, Homicide's on the East Coast. But Team Jacob Fatu taking on Team, GCW there. So, it's, it's cool. I'm looking forward to that match. And then, so the main event was coming, and it's like Briscoe brothers come out, and it's an open challenge for their GCW Tag Team Championships. And a lot of people are like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be FTR? Because they had the little face, they've been going back and forth on social media. They had the face off at Ring of Honor last show in December. No, it was not them. It was Matt Tremont and Nick Gage. And Nick Gage's manager, Dewey Donovan, comes out. Crowd paused. They played the Metallica, his entrance song. And other songs, do they have the rights for that? But the crowd popped for them. Obviously, Nick Gage. I know he's been hurt for a minute. So I think a lot of people were concerned if he was going to make the show or not because he wasn't scheduled. But sure enough, he comes there for the main event.
He posted on Twitter, too, and was like, ask the owners why I'm not on the show.
Oh, no. He's buddies with the owner.
Yeah, right. I was like, oh, boy, what happened? Did they fall out or what?
I know some people were bummed it was not FTR, but my thinking is that's going to be saved for AEW.
Oh, yeah.
AEW, Tony Khan's going to no, you guys, that feud is brewing really nicely. We're going to save that for an AEW show. So yeah, Briscoes and FTR, that's coming soon, I imagine. The match was like a little underwhelming because it was cut short. Because since they're on pay-per-view, they have a hard out time of 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern. So literally with a few minutes left in the show, the ref quickly made a 3 count and it just suddenly ended. A lot of people were like, whoa, that was it? That was the finish? That was short. But I think they wanted to end it early so that way Nick Gage had time to cut his promo, say thank you, get the crowd going one more time. Yeah, I think that's all that was. Anything for you? Anything else for that main event that stood out?
Nah, not really. Again, it was another, I think, missed opportunity. While you had everybody, who you have your GCW loyalists, your faithful watching, but you also have a lot of people who I'm sure were tuning in for the very first time, and I think it's just unfortunate it had to end like that and go down like that, because I think it left a lot of people like, what? Like, that's it? Or that's how it's going to end? Or, okay, outside of everything else that happened on the show, whether it was overbooked or, underbooked or, shout out to AJ Gray, but falling off a ladder.
But I mean, that's the thing. It's like, the Cardone match, if they shaved off like 5-10 minutes and applied that to the main event, then it would have probably been a better main event right there. Yep. Or maybe
didn't you say that was the longest match, right?
Yeah, it was almost 20 minutes, the Cardona match. And the other thing too, I was shocked. If you really think about it, all the outsiders who came into this pay-per-view won. Jeff Jarrett, Ruby Soho, I guess. But if you want to count Matt Cardona, even though he's a former champion, right? You get what I'm saying, though.
Matt just keeps on winning over there.
Yeah, but it's interesting. You think about it, like I thought Effie was going to win over Jeff Jarrett, like just beat him. But maybe Jeff Jarrett's like, not going to work for me, brother. I'm coming. I'll come make the appearance. I'll bring my star power. But I'm not losing. And probably same for Ruby Soho, because maybe Tony Khan. Maybe he's like, okay, I'll give you permission, but you can't lose. Yeah, because she's a big thing right now in AEW, so she's not going to go to another promotion and lose right now. So if you're going to borrow talent from a bigger promotion, I think the unspoken word or unwritten rule is they're not going to lose at the smaller show. They're coming to bring their star power, but you got to let them win as well. So
exactly,
I kind of think that's what happened here. So I was a little shocked with that. Overall, like I said, some matches were okay, some were better than others. I just kind of wonder what they're going to do here from now. This is arguably their biggest show, their biggest turnout, their biggest just interaction on social media and exposure and everyone talking about them.
Yep.
Is this the peak of GCW, and are they going to start kind of going down, or can they capitalize on this momentum and keep growing even bigger? Could this lead to like a TV deal? Could this lead to some other possibilities? That's the question here. It's like, okay, you have this moment in your promotion's history. What do you go from here now? So this is going to be a big turning point.
Do they have do you know if they have a show that they're running during Mania weekend?
Oh, I do not know.
Because, that might be another opportunity to, I don't know. Let me see.
I know they have the weekly show or shows like on Fight TV, right? Like you pay to watch that. But I'm not sure what else is there. It's gonna be interesting though. Like, what they're gonna do moving forward though is, for them, or like what other possibilities can they capitalize on this momentum? So, I would hope they, it works out for them and they do some big things. So, we'll wait and see. So, check it out. If you want to experience something different, another form of alternative from mainstream wrestling, check it out. Or a lot of these people, do independent wrestling as well. So go check them out at your local wrestling show if they come out. So, I'm looking forward to it. All right. A couple other things real quick to touch on. Big news came out a few days ago. It is being reported, or rumor is, that Ronda Rousey is going to make a return to WWE, specifically make an appearance at the Royal Rumble. Brian, thoughts, man?
I mean, that's a big deal, I think. I feel like she's got unfinished business. It was sort of CM Punk-ish, like how she left. I know she was hurt, but it was sort of like she kind of just, disappeared after she lost the championship. And at WrestleMania, Becky, and there's history there. Mm-hmm. So it would be cool to see her in the Rumble. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, she's gonna win it, so she can, fight Becky if she does show up." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know how that'll do with the, the rest of the WWE universe."
Yeah, for me, I feel like it's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah.
As far as last time we saw her was at WrestleMania 35, losing the triple threat match to Becky Lynch when she defeated her and Charlotte, became two-belt Becky.
Yep.
Ronda left, as you said. I think she was injured, but then also wanted to start a family. She had the baby girl with her husband back in September. Mm-hmm. But rumor is she's been training recently, so maybe she has been planning for a return for a while. I know she, I think, has a little bit of time left on her contract because of, when you're away, it gets pushed back. Because it was supposed to expire, I think, last April. So she probably has a couple more matches she's obligated to do.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. My thinking is, if Ronda comes to the Royal Rumble, makes an appearance, you're not bringing her in just to lose or get eliminated. I feel like if she's in it, she's going to be the clear winner.
Unless, and I mentioned this on Bulletcast earlier, I said, unless maybe she comes in and she gets eliminated to set something up. I mean, I'm thinking, like, while a lot of people are saying that she could go up against Becky, she could be in there to maybe set something up with Charlotte too. And I know there's not really no history in it or anything there, but Charlotte is Charlotte. And if you want to.
And didn't they have their Survivor Series match in LA?
They did. When
Charlotte went crazy with the kendo stick on her?
Yes. Okay, so there you go. I mean, that'll be a nice swerve as well. If she enters the Rumble, I know everyone watching is going to be like, all right, Ronda's got this. And then, boom, Charlotte throws her over the top. And then maybe Charlotte gets thrown over the top because she's so focused on getting Ronda out. Obviously, that'll get Charlotte out, give other girls the opportunity. But then I would think
Alexa Bliss will eliminate Charlotte. Because remember, because she ripped up her Lily doll.
That's true.
I don't know.
That's true. You might be onto something there too. I forgot about Alexa.
I know. We've seen her on Raw lately going to counseling now.
Yeah.
That's all another thing. But here's my thing. Because, if you bring back Ronda, I know some people are like, boo, I don't like that idea. Focus on people you currently have.
Yeah.
I understand that. But at the same time, Ronda has star power. Mm-hmm. You bring her in. ESPN, Fox Sports, all these, major news or sporting news websites, TV shows, networks will talk about her, and that gets more eyeballs on WWE. From a business standpoint, it makes sense to go all in on Ronda. If you get her in there for WrestleMania season from now to WrestleMania, do it. You got to focus on her. No offense to anyone else. I know a lot of people are frustrated because, if she wins and then she challenges Becky, then we finally get the one-on-one match that we wanted 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That we didn't get because then Charlotte, was inserted into the match. So we finally get the one-on-one match we've been wanting between Becky and Ronda. Mm-hmm. But then again, a lot of people are frustrated. Well, then what happens to Bianca Belair? We're waiting for her to get her revenge for SummerSlam and what happened there. And for me, before the Ronda news came out, I was hoping Bianca would win the Royal Rumble and then challenge Becky and get her win back, become champion again. And, remember everyone said after SummerSlam, wait and see how this plays out. That seems the perfect time for Bianca to get her revenge.
Yep.
And also, if you notice, Bianca's been kind of hinting on the microphone that she wants to win the Royal Rumble and be the first back-to-back Royal Rumble winner since 98?
Stone Cold.
Yeah, Stone Cold's the last one, 97, 98?
Yep.
So you're like, oh, that could be something. That could be a great feat or accomplishment for Bianca to do is become back-to-back Royal Rumble winner. That is so rare to do. So,
which is another reason why her rating should be higher than an 86 in WWE 2K22.
I mean, we love Bianca Belair. Like, I really want to see her get revenge. Mm-hmm. But then again, maybe I could see it as, maybe, all right, Ronda gets first dibs. But then again, like, if Ronda comes back, obviously it's only a part-time schedule, so I don't see her defeating Becky at WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
right.
Let her do Royal Rumble appearance, get a match at WrestleMania, and then she can go off in the sunset again for a while.
That's true.
And then Bianca can come back into the picture and maybe get her revenge at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. Almost a full year later, though. Will it be too late by that point? So that's kind of like the catch-22 from a booking standpoint. I think WWE might be running into with all of this. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, she could potentially, Ronda could challenge Charlotte. That makes sense. Like I said, with the Survivor Series they had a couple years ago. Payback. I don't know. I'm torn but I think for Charlotte, Alexa Bliss matchup makes more sense, even though Alexa's on Raw though. So how do you make that happen?
We'll see. I mean, and that's the thing. Now that you said that, I'm thinking now, like, okay, Royal Rumble is a perfect opportunity to set something like that up. If you wanted to, you could. I mean, Royal Rumble, that's when things happen, crossovers and feuds. You can have Alexa, hop over to sort of like, Seth. I mean, Seth happened for many reasons. I think he deserved it. He earned it. He didn't get his one-on-one match, so they're finally doing right by Seth. But you can have Charlotte maybe get revenge from Alexa throwing her over the top rope at Royal Rumble, and have Charlotte come over to Raw and beat up Alexa or something. I don't know, something interesting, something better than just, all right, the match is set, Charlotte and Alexa.
I mean, and that's the thing. I think Royal Rumble, we know, can set up alternate storylines. Like someone will eliminate someone else, and that'll carry over to the next week television and stuff like that. So Charlotte entering the Royal Rumble as a champion is interesting, but I think they're just low on talent to compete in the match. Yep.
Hope they have an idea for it, but
yeah. So I think if Ronda comes in, it's like
I think it's a nice story. I'm sorry, good job. I think Charlotte being in the Rumble is a beautiful story for all these legends, and you these women coming back. You got the Bellas in there. You got Summer Rae. You got Michelle McCool. I'm going to love seeing Charlotte throw each and every one of them over the top rope.
Well, the other thing, too, which I'm worried is, sure, Ronda comes back, but then a lot of people are going to boo her because she is going to eliminate people that are around all the time, and they're going to be frustrated. But then again, it's like, listen, it's a business. Ronda brings more eyeballs to the product, and that's what matters at the end of the day. That's what people need to realize here. So,
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, we'll see how this plays out, and then we can talk about it after. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here and, where they go moving forward. Last thing, clickbait news-wise, I just want to touch on is Lio Rush. He posted on social media the other day that a picture of him, and it says the caption or the note on the photo, it says, on February 14th, 2022, my contract will expire with AEW, and I will become a free agent. For all booking inquiries, please email. And he has his email there.
Yep.
So a lot of people head scratching. What is going on here? This is very odd considering the timing. You try to connect the dots. It's like, okay, he signed a contract coming back for a second time to AEW, in September, up in February. It's all a 5-month and X amount of day contract. Kind of odd. It's not like a nice round number, like a year or 2 years. Very odd. So a lot of people are questioning. All right, we know, Tony Khan, his little Twitter outbursts back in December calling out Swole and her comments on her podcast and taking a dig at her and all that stuff. And a lot of people were upset. Lio Rush responded, sticking up for Swole. And then who knows if that kind of backfired on him, because he then put on Twitter that he had a conversation with Tony Khan about it. But then he said, we're all good. I like working for him. And even Tony Khan was still liking all his tweets and stuff. So you thought, okay, maybe everything's cool between them. Now this happens. So from a timing standpoint, a lot of people are just, like you said, scratching their head. What is going on here? Brian, from your viewpoint, how would you kind of break this down?
Well, I feel like it could be two things. And I'm hoping it's this. I'm hoping Lio Rush just, I'm hoping he did sign a short-term deal, and maybe, he's just looking at it and he's like, you know what? I kind of don't want to be strapped down to one company. I kind of want to just stay out here in the field and do my thing and show up here, show up there, show up wherever I want to show up. Because a lot of people, I've seen a lot of the chatter online. A lot of people were assuming that Tony Khan just didn't renew him or didn't what's the word,
expiring contract.
Yeah, they just let his contract expire.
Tony Khan, like, the thing is, like, he doesn't like to fire people. He's like, you sign a contract, I'll let it run its course, but instead of just, quote, firing you or releasing you, I'm just gonna let it expire. I'm not gonna put you on TV, I'm not gonna use you, and I'm just gonna let it expire. That's my way of not bringing you back, but I'm honoring that contract to the fullest. So kind of an interesting perspective of things.
Seems like it's a lot of people under that motto right now.
Yeah, because they Brian Cage is one that has not been seen in months. Peter Avalon is someone. I guess his contract is expired. So, and he posted that he's available for bookings now. You gotta think about other people, but then like Lio Rush. Keep in mind a couple things with him. We haven't seen him since beginning of December, and I guess he was supposed to come back in the December for AEW show, but didn't show up. Yep. So, and even Sean Ross Sapp was quick to post like excerpts from his interview with Lio Rush, and Lio Rush said, like, I don't want to sign long-term contracts with one company anymore. I want to keep it short. I want to be able to bounce around. He said it's good for his mental health and stuff. So he doesn't like being tied down to one place. He likes to have the freedom and independence. So maybe he really did sign a short-term deal with AEW. It just seems strange because that doesn't seem like the norm. But Lio Rush doesn't want to follow the norm.
And it seems strange. The only thing to me what makes it seem strange and where I kind of go, I don't know, is the fact that he was in a storyline. Like, that is odd. So it's just like
Jay Lethal took his spot against Team Taz.
Yeah, and the storyline, correct me if I'm wrong, it's still going, right? Like, there hasn't been a big like payoff or big match or anything.
Correct, because last we saw was a backstage interview with Dante Martin with Seidel, and was it Lee Moriarty? I think was it last week's Dynamite? It was Lee Moriarty.
I think it was Moriarty. Yeah,
the three of them. No Jay Lethal in this. So Jay Lethal made the save, but we haven't seen him since again. So
so I hope that whatever Lio Rush does, and it's best for him and he's happy. But it is kind of strange. I think the lack of explanation or insight to what happened, and it does kind of make the people who kind of are neutral between all the companies. I mean, I know you got the AEW side and your WWE side, but like, hey, when this happens in WWE, a lot of people are quick to assume and jump and be like, hey, Vince McMahon or Nick Khan, and but Tony, it's like, Tony, man, come on, man. I mean, he said enough. I mean, he obviously, we all know the situation, I guess. Yeah. He probably shouldn't say anything, but
just, well, like I said, it just seems very odd because the timing of everything. But then if you look at other aspects of his personal life and how he's trying to control his career, it kind of makes sense that he wanted just a short-term deal. But yeah, then the timing does kind of suck because he has this storyline going on. So why all of a sudden just be suddenly taken out of it makes you wonder, like, So who knows?
That kind of messes up, Lee Moriarty, Matt Sydal,
Martin,
Dante Martin. I don't know.
Team Taz,
It just kind of makes everything look weird, and it could honestly make it so that people aren't even interested in the story anymore. I mean, Lio Rush, I feel like, was kind of like the centerpiece to kind of get guys like Dante over or help. Dante's already over, but at least to help him and help the storyline. Lio Rush can talk. He can go in the ring. He's the total package, if you ask me. So the fact that he was just taken out of that storyline and all of a sudden now he's a free agent, it's kind of like
We should get Alfred on from Wrestling.
We should.
I was actually texting with Alfred the other day.
He's looking for Jay Lethal.
Yes, I was texting with him the other day because I was just asking if he was going to go to WrestleMania this year, and he's in the same situation with me, kind of like trying to figure it all out. But I should have asked him, like, hey, man, we got to record. I want to get your thoughts, your breakdown of this whole thing. So maybe we have to coordinate that. I'll text him. I know he does quite a few episodes with Wrestling Inc. during the week. So maybe on a separate day, we'll record with him and
for sure,
get his whole viewpoint about the whole Lio Rush situation.
Maybe we will have found Jay Lethal by then.
Yes, exactly. No, he does great work with his YouTube channel and his take on things. And it's true. I think he's calling out stuff that he sees in pro wrestling that doesn't seem right and needs to be fixed. And I respect that. So, and Alfred's just a good guy. Like, he's just one of the good guys that, in the whole pro wrestling journalism, podcasting, hosting landscape. So, at the end of the day, I wish the best for Lio Rush. As long as he's happy, maybe he can, do some more independent stuff, do some New Japan strong stuff, float around. But my only concern is, he kind of has run WWE, that ended. Now his AEW run ended. I just hope he's not burning any bridges.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many promotions to work with. Ring of Honor's gone. Maybe Impact down the road. For him, that's my only concern. Is I want him to, be happy, have a great career. He's amazing. So, we have a chance to see him twice next month. West Coast Pro Wrestling, February 11th, and Stars of Wrestling, February 19th in Alameda. So West Coast will be in South San Francisco. Stars of Wrestling will be in Alameda. So 2 chances in 8 days. So we should go both and just maybe try to get an exclusive from him or something.
He's already booked for Termius too.
That's right. When he's wrestling, he's go Lashley. So anyway, I'm excited for Lio Rush in his future, and I wish him nothing but the best. All right, let's power our way through WWE this week. SmackDown, since that was the most recent or first episode we're going to touch on here first. Interesting storyline. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, their feud is picking up steam as we head to Royal Rumble for their match for the Universal title. Seth Rollins cuts this promo when the Bloodline are in the ring and kind of really trying to get in Roman Reigns' head. Just saying, there are 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, and Seth freaking Rollins beating Roman Reigns. I loved it. I did not catch it at first. I don't know why. Maybe because I had it on. I did not catch Seth saying Mox when he was talking about the Shield. He didn't say Dean Ambrose. He said Mox in regard to Jon Moxley. But he's really digging at Roman Reigns and really trying to set the tone, the story here. Like, we've wrestled a few times over the years. I've always won. So Royal Rumble is going to be no different in trying to really. So it's like, it's the first in a long time where it's like, oh, wow, Seth seems like a really credible opponent here.
Yes.
I don't know. What do you think, Brian? Like, what do you think the odds of him potentially winning?
I agree. And I said this earlier. I said, outside of Edge, right? I mean, Edge, him being an opponent for Roman Reigns was more of like a redemption. Like, you know, I'm here to, you know, get my championship back. I never lost, and things of that nature. And everybody else, you know, of course, outside of Edge and Brock and all that, but like everyone along Roman Reigns' title reign, you've seen, you know, intimidation or, you know, either his opponents are intimidated or Roman finds a way to intimidate them, or he's not intimidated by them at all, right?
Yeah.
And someone like Seth Rollins, who, like you said, he's beaten him. You know, he's already beaten him. He knows how to beat him. And this is also someone who's been at the highest level. He's beaten, you know, Triple H. He's beaten Brock Lesnar, both at WrestleMania. So it's an even playing field here. It's like, okay, you know, no offense to Kevin Owens. You know, I think Kevin Owens had a phenomenal match with Roman at, what was that, last year's Royal Rumble? Was that last year already?
Yeah, it was a year already. Because remember, they had like 4 matches in 2 months. Because remember, they had the steel cage match on SmackDown. Was it Royal Rumble? It was the 4th one. But yeah, it was a year ago. Yeah. But they had a lot of matches. But Kevin Owens, he was a great babyface then.
Was it Rumble? Am I tripping?
Let me do a quick look.
Rumble. It was when they were in. It was when they were in the baseball field.
Oh yeah,
Thunderdome, when they moved to Thunderdome.
Tropicana Field. Yeah, Roman Reigns defeated Kevin Owens, last man standing match.
Yep, there we go.
Man,
yeah. So I think, I honestly think Seth Rollins has a chance. This is such a good and a bad thing, because it's like, wow, like, you know, Roman Reigns, he's the longest reigning Universal Champion right now. And, you know, obviously people have been saying for the longest, like, Roman Reigns, you know, he should keep the title until Hollywood, you know, The Rock, whatever, blah, blah, blah. No one, but now it's just like, they're in a situation where it's like, okay, well, are people gonna hate if Roman Reigns wins and he retains the title? Like, should we, you know, Rollins gained a little bit of, you know, he was leaning to me, it seemed like he was leaning towards the babyface side on SmackDown. You know, the fans are singing his theme song, you know, and during the match even, you know, people are chanting his name and they're cheering for him. So I'm like, oh man, is this an opportunity to, because I even said this earlier too, you can still have Roman Reigns. If he were to lose to Seth at the Royal Rumble, you could have Roman Reigns still some way shift over to the WWE Championship and have a match with Brock. And I'm not trying to eliminate Bobby Lashley here, but you know,
I'll save that for raw discussion where I think might happen.
Okay.
I think Brock Lesnar is still the favorite to win the Royal Rumble still, which is interesting, but there could be some shenanigans in favor of Bobby Lashley. And, I'll save on that for Raw, but so Seth Rollins wants to have a match or a tag team match against the Usos, and he says, I have a partner. They're like, who are you going to get? You hate everyone. Everyone hates you. And he's like, I got one friend. And sure enough, it's Kevin Owens. Yep. And they have become best friends as of late, which is funny, though. That on Raw, they are technically heels, but on SmackDown, they come off as baby faces here. They're like, we're going to team up and we're going to take you out. And so...
That's something very rare you don't see on WWE TV too much, too, is like them just embracing, like, you know, the fact that the fans, you know, love the supposed to be heels, and they're going up against, you know, other two guys that other heels, but people love them also, you know, so it's kind of cool.
So they agreed to the match, or the Usos, right? Didn't they jump into, we'll take on you. So the stipulation is And Roman's pissed, like, what the? Shut the hell up. So yeah, no, it looks like it's gonna. Yeah. So the stipulation was, if Seth and Kevin Owens wins, then Usos are banned from ringside for the Universal title match at Royal Rumble. If the Usos win, Seth doesn't get a title shot, and Roman gets the night off. So, main event: Usos versus Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. Amazing main event. You know, come on. You got arguably the best tag team of this generation taking on arguably maybe the best wrestler of his generation, Seth Rollins. Kevin Owens, total workhorse. Awesome match. Anything in the match that really stood out for you?
Not really. It's again, everybody did exactly what they always do, and they deliver. If you want four guys to give you a great main event, you're gonna get it from Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and the Usos. One thing though, if I could say one thing that stood out, is just Seth Rollins, man. I don't know. It's something about babyface Seth Rollins when you hear the crowd behind him and he's going and he's doing his moves. You know, it's kind of like he's kind of like John Cena in the sense of where he gets going and he has those trademark moves, that those same moves that you know he's leading up to the finisher, whether it be the stomp or whatever. And it just gets the crowd going, like they love it. So yeah, man, I enjoyed it.
It's interesting because great match, but into DQ, Roman Reigns comes running in, hits Seth with the Superman punch.
Yep.
And Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins win.
Yeah.
And, with the interference, so now the Usos are going to be banned from ringside for the Universal Championship match at Royal Rumble. I know online on Twitter and stuff, a lot of people were saying that was dumb, Roman, to do that. If Roman was going to come interfere, shouldn't he have punched the Usos? That way, the Usos win the match, and then therefore Seth Rollins doesn't get a title shot. I think what the message he's trying to send is, you know what? I hate you so much. You're getting under my skin. You're so annoying, Seth Rollins. I want that match to kick your ass, and I'll go ahead and just give in to your stipulation and have the Usos banned. So I'll come in here, punch, Superman punch you, and have my guys lose, but the message is, I want you that bad. I want to kick your ass and prove a point.
And another thing too, like you just mentioned earlier, like he didn't he didn't say that he initially agreed to the Uso. That was Jey Uso who spoke up and was like, yeah, we're you got it, you're on. You know what I mean? Like that was the Usos. So maybe all along, I mean, that just shows, like you said, maybe he's like, nah, I got this. I'm going to do this on my own. And maybe he just didn't want Seth Rollins to get a pinfall victory over the Usos and have any momentum going on. I know we still got, SmackDown, which you could have went the other way too. And you could have had Roman Reigns hit or punch one of the Usos or cause a disqualification to where the Usos would win the match, and then maybe set up one more match before Royal Rumble and give Seth Rollins a chance. But I think that would be a lot of overbooking. So
yeah. So no, it's I cannot wait for this match. I'm excited for it. Real quick, I just laughed. Johnny Knoxville hit Sami Zayn with the cattle prod. Have you ever been hit with the cattle prod before?
I haven't.
I have.
Really?
I think it's on YouTube somewhere.
Oh no.
We used to have in the studio, a listener sent it to us, and we used it for like trivia and stuff. Wow. Even at one point, speaking of jackass, Steve-O came by the studio once and hit one of my coworkers, Joe Hawk, with the cattle prod as well. So Steve-O, friend of the show, go see Jackass Forever next week.
I can't wait to see that. He's going to be on the bump on Saturday.
Steve-O?
Yeah.
Oh, I should text him. I'll text him.
He's going to be on the bump.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll text him. Okay.
Yep.
No, Steve-O, gave me his new number. So,
nice.
No, we gotta hang out with Steve-O.
That's sweet, man.
Yeah, we'll hang out with Steve-O one of these days. So I laugh, and it's just, once again, Johnny Knoxville. I like how they build for the Royal Rumble. It's just throws, people who are in the Royal Rumble match, their segments on Raw or SmackDown as of late, they just throw someone else over, and it's like a metaphor, like, see, I'm going to do this at the Royal Rumble. Be prepared. So I'm like, that's it? That's the only way you can build up, like, interest in the Royal Rumble match? Anyway, very interesting. Eric Bischoff sighting on SmackDown as well, with Charlotte Flair defeating Naomi, but by way of Sonya Deville as, referee. Adam Pearce with Bischoff by his side told Deville that, because of her issues with Naomi, it has to end. So they're going to have a one-on-one match on this coming episode of SmackDown. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah. I think some shenanigans are going to happen. I want this to be a WrestleMania match for Naomi and get her revenge.
I do too. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if the match doesn't happen and then Sonya somehow throws Naomi over the top rope.
Exactly.
In the women's Rumble match.
So, we'll see how it goes. All right, moving on over to Monday Night Raw this week. Dude, I know weigh-ins in wrestling, which weigh-ins in wrestling don't really make sense because, it's not the cruiserweight division where they had to weigh themselves to be under 205. This is heavyweight and it's like unlimited. They don't have like weight divisions in WWE. So the fact they had a weigh-in for Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar seemed kind of goofy, but still very entertaining segment. Am I right?
Yeah, it was. It was. I was tweeting about it and talking about it, and I'm scrolling down. I'm like, oh, people aren't liking this.
Why? I mean, Brock Lesnar coming out as a cowboy?
Yeah, that was awesome.
I love that. And then, I love Bobby Lashley looking tough and aggressive. And it's funny because, Bobby Lashley, I guess, is supposed to be the heel, and Brock is currently like a baby face. But Brock is like picking on or making fun of Bobby. So you would think it'd be a role reversal. Like Brock, technically, look on paper, is acting like the heel here. But, it's the opposite. So that was kind of interesting. So, Bobby is taking this very seriously. He jumped on the scale, weighed himself. And then Brock Lesnar was going to go on, and Corey Graves is like, don't you want to take your clothes off? And he's like, you want to see me naked? So I love Brock just talking back to Corey Graves. And I love, obviously, Paul Heyman and MVP going back and forth.
Yeah.
But Brock, keeps calling Bobby who, really kind of talking down to him. So I'm so amped up for this match. The video package from last week on Raw, so good.
Yep.
And I love, like, on social media, they've been using the moving graphics for each of them, like Brock Lesnar and the image. It's like the moving graphics from like back in the day on WWE television. So they need to keep doing that.
Yes.
It was awesome. So Lashley, 273 pounds. Brock, granted, he had all the clothes on, was 286. So pretty close. I'm so excited, man. But what I wonder what's going to happen is, I think they still want Brock and Roman at WrestleMania. I wonder if the Usos, since they're banned from the Universal match, will they get involved in the WWE championship match, cost Brock the WWE championship, Bobby wins, becomes new WWE champion, and then Brock is so pissed, he wants revenge against the Bloodline, and Roman specifically, he enters the Royal Rumble, wins that, and then becomes a new number one contender for the Universal Championship.
Especially with Paul Heyman by your side, that is very possible.
I'm just saying,
it would make people so mad because I can see and hear it now. It's kind of like
Brock and Ronda both win.
You don't have to do that to get to Roman because technically Brock is a free agent. He can go over to SmackDown, and challenge Roman himself if he wants to, or threaten whoever wins the Royal Rumble and say, you're not picking Roman. I'm going after Roman, So it's very much so possible.
It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting what they do. I'm so amped up. I cannot wait.
I think that this is one of the very, because, over the last few years, it's been sort of predictable. Sort of like, okay, well, it's time for this person. There's so many, so many people could have their time on both the men and the women's side. You know, it could be Big E. I think Big E could have another shot, another go at it.
I would love it, but they probably would not do it. AJ Styles, but I know he's a little bit older now, and they probably would not want to give the opportunity to him now.
Kevin Owens, it could be.
I mean, Austin Theory's been doing so many segments with Vince McMahon.
He has to be one of the last
final four. Yeah, yes. I would think so. Now the rumor is like Shane McMahon might be making an appearance at the Royal Rumble. I think it made sense for Shane, and because Shane McMahon always gets a WrestleMania match. So maybe it'd be Austin. So that's what it's gonna be Austin Theory and Shane McMahon trying to win the infection of Vince McMahon. That's what it is, right? I mean, that's ultimately what this is gonna come down to. That's what it is. Who can win the love? Who's the real son of Vince McMahon? The infection. And I would love. It's gonna be in Dallas, Texas, and Stone Cold, I would imagine, is gonna have a presence there. Maybe he's the special guest referee or something.
Maybe Austin Theory takes a series of stunners.
That's why I want to kind of go to Dallas just to see Stone Cold in person in a ring. Yep. Something, I never got to see him wrestle. Like, he's my favorite. So that's kind of what my thinking is. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I'm trying to think what else I want to touch on real quick. What's your thoughts on Damian Priest's current run as U.S. champion? You had the match with Kevin Owens, and he's been playing this whole Jekyll and Hyde thing where he gets like pissed off, can't control his anger, gets DQ'd. I don't know. It's getting kind of silly.
It's a little silly since the DQ started happening. I think when he was winning, like when he was getting pinfall victories and winning every week with that happening, I think it made more sense. But now that it's causing him to get DQ'd, and kind of putting that bad cloak over his, winning ways and his record or some sort. I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, I honestly think that they should probably ditch the whole. It's almost like Festus, like Luke Gallows, when
yes, the ring the bell and snaps into it.
Yeah.
I just feel like, okay, let him get the DQ and then say, if you do it again, you're going to lose your title.
Yes.
Like, it's just coming kind of just corny. I don't know, just goofy.
Well, and as a champion, you should be doing whatever you possibly can do to protect your title. And while you get disqualified, you don't lose the championship. Anything could happen with the way Pierce and Sonya are, and the decisions that they make on Raw and SmackDown. And you kind of feel like, all right, well, I don't want to do anything. And then also, again, like his winning ways, like he had such a nice record, prior to, the DQs and stuff. It just all that. And I don't know, they're booking. I hope they have like an end game for this, like this whole gimmick, even like, it's just kind of like, all right, I hope there's something, I look at him and my first thought is, okay, he could be like not the new Undertaker, because the Undertaker is the Undertaker, but kind of the guy who you could put in place of the Undertaker, who could maybe build up a winning streak. Doesn't have to be WrestleMania, but sort of a winning streak or good reputation in terms of, okay, whenever you go up against this guy's going to have, or you're going to have a hard time trying to beat Priest. That's how good he is. But I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't.
I guess for me, it's like, Damian Priest through SummerSlam, he was so over just on his own charisma and who he is. And then they kind of change up his character to, like this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing where he gets angry. And it's like, dude, it's wrestling. You're supposed to beat the crap out of your opponent.
Yep.
And it just kind of comes off kind of goofy. And it's like, really? He's going to lose a match because he snapped like that? It's like, I don't know. It just.
And I thought they were going to let it go because when the ref was kind of pulling him away, and I'm like, oh, okay. So the ref is actually letting it go. Like he's just trying to warn him, like, all right, stop. He kept trying to pull him away. And then he finally rang the bell and it was disqualification. I was like, oh, come on. But then what I think made it weird and stupid was Priest turns around and he's like, what the heck? Like as if he didn't know that he was going to be disqualified if he didn't stop. So it's the little things like that for me. It's like, I would appreciate it if Priest just said, forget about it, beat up the ref even if you're going to do something.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know, man, we'll see how this goes. It's, probably outside the weigh-in, the other segment that probably was the best was the whole Alpha Academy academic challenge between RK Bro and Alpha Academy. So I thought it was all going to be in one night, but it looks like it's going to be spread out over the coming weeks. So this round one was the spelling bee.
Sort of like the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders did.
Yeah, exactly. But this is well done, but I think I laughed, and I was watching live, and I had my head turned. I had to turn my head. So they give the word to Otis, and he like legit misspells it. And I turned my head because I looked. And I was like, what he said, and I was like, that doesn't match what it says on the screen. But they kept going and like didn't blink an eye. And they're like, you got it right. And he's like, yeah. I was like, he really misspelled it. But I guess that was not in the script. It's like he was supposed to spell it right. So maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully one day he'll do a shoot interview and explain like, yeah, I really screwed up there. But then Riddle, it's his turn. He gets his word right. And he talking about how high he he always makes the high innuendos.
Oh yeah.
And then Chad Gable takes a turn and he actually misspells his word because the pronunciation. And then Randy Orton has the hardest word, dumbbell, but he spells it right. And so RK Bro wins. They're like, yeah. And I guess next week they're gonna have a scooter challenge, which I'm like, how is riding a scooter part of an academic challenge? Maybe because PE, like physical. I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but it was still just hilarious. And so and then next up we saw Randy Orton take on Chad Gable. Great match.
Yeah.
And Randy Orton actually picks up the win over Chad Gable. So it's like, even though he's one half of the tag team champion, he still loses a singles match here. So let's see, AJ Styles, great match with Austin Theory. AJ wins, so Vince disappointed in Austin Theory. And and then the main event, it was Maryse's birthday celebration. The Miz want to have a party, but Edge and Beth Phoenix come out and wreck shop. And so pretty funny. Haha. I mean, it's pretty obvious Edge and Beth are going to win at Royal Rumble, the mixed tag match, right?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the It couple pulled it off here.
A sneaky victory.
Yeah, maybe Edge and Beth. This is their first time tagging together, right?
Yeah. So it's a special deal for them. Yeah.
Maybe this is a moment where, I guess, I don't know, experience. I mean, Maryse and Miz haven't tagged much together either, but they did have that match with Cena and Nikki Bella at WrestleMania. So they've got a little experience going up against other couples.
Okay.
So I don't know. I would like to see Miz kind of sneak his way into a victory here with Maryse. That'd be pretty cool.
Nice.
I know fans would hate it, but.
All right, let's move on over to NXT 2.0 this week. The big story that's been going on for the last week is the story of Walter in his name change. So last week, Imperium wins their match. Walter grabs the microphone and says this match was won by Gunther.
Yeah.
Everyone started freaking out.
Yeah.
I freaked out. I love Walter. And dude, total coincidence. Like a few days before that, I bought the Walter figure, the takeover figure from Ringside Collectibles.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I've been looking at it for months. I was like, I want to get it, and I was like, I don't want to. And then I psyched myself out. Finally, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Because it might not be around forever. I was like, let me get it. And there's like no word of making another figure for him. So I was like, I'll get it. And then literally like a few days later, I'm Gunther now. I was like, oh my God. I don't know if the figure is going to be worth more now because he's Gunther.
Yeah, so, exactly.
But anyway, There were reports the week before WWE filed a trademark for the name Gunther Stark. Everyone did a Google search, were freaking out because it's the same name of a Nazi submarine pilot, or is that the word? Commander?
Commander, yeah.
So obviously that's not good news. Like, come on, WWE. If you're going to come up with a name, you got to Google search that, double check it, make sure no one else has used it before. There's no bad connotation around it, especially Nazis. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Granted, sometimes the wrestler presents the name, so it makes you kind of wonder, did Walter come up with this name?
Yeah.
But even still, if it was Walter's idea, still you got a background check it, double check it. So why are you
as the company? You got to be like, hold on here,
Let's double check here before we file a trademark. So, nonetheless, the whole backlash, rightfully so. So he did not call himself Gunther Stark. He just called himself Gunther. So they just dropped the last name.
Yep.
I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
I don't think they should have changed his name. It didn't really make sense. I think they could have. The direction it seems like Imperium as a group and Walter is going. I mean, I know that probably for trademark purposes, they probably wanted to give him a new name, or maybe he wanted a new name because he wanted to keep Walter. If anything happens later on down the line, he can still use the name and things like that. So I think when you think about it from that point, it's like, okay, I get it. But yeah, I think the direction that Imperium is going, it seems obviously more mainstream style NXT 2.0, going to be a weekly thing now. It seemed Imperium was special. It's like every now and then, especially Walter, right? Like every now and then you saw him every few months pop up to help Imperium and
from a distance,
and do something. So now it seems like he's going to be more hands-on. His goal is to elevate them and make sure they go to the top, and they're obviously standing in the way of Roderick Strong and Diamond Mine. So I think the Imperium versus Diamond Mine, that's a perfect way to introduce Imperium and Walter onto like the main stage of NXT 2.0. But the name Gunther, it didn't have to do that.
And listen, I know Walter's not the most, badass name, but, pronounced Walter. And, his presence is so intimidating. He just beats the crap out of people. So it kind of fits him no matter what. I mean, listen, I know it's just a name. At the end of the day, as long as Walter or Gunther still goes out and wrestles like we've come to know for all these years, then fine. The wrestling will speak for itself.
Definitely.
I guess a couple things, because, he has officially moved to the U.S., with his girlfriend, Jenny, who he started dating after breaking up with his wife. So he's now in the U.S. now. So maybe the fact that he moved to the U.S., maybe he signed a new deal with WWE. Therefore, as you mentioned, maybe they want to license Walter. So he's like, okay. In WWE, they want to own you in every aspect. So they're like, okay, we're going to give you a new name. That's what we're going to use for your branding moving forward. So that's why they probably went with Gunther.
I think his explanation on Tuesday,
what do you think of his explanation?
I thought the explanation was a very good attempt. It seemed genuine. It's very clever, I think.
So he said he just wanted to reset themselves, plant their pole here in America, therefore rebrand, and Gunther is the name of his grandfather, right? Is that more or less what he said? Who introduced him to wrestling.
Yep.
It's a quick fix. All right, I'll take it.
Now, I think had they done that first and not just ended the show with him saying his name was Gunther after already people were speculated and had Googled, searched the name and everything, I think had they waited and maybe explained it that way, then it would have been a little bit better. People would have looked at it and gone, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And the thing also with Walter or Gunther, sorry, I gotta get used to that. I know he changed his name on Twitter and then, or he posted like a photo or video, and Finn Balor wrote back, said, hey, they didn't like Finn at first as well as a name. And it's like, whoa, time out. a little bit of a different situation.
Yeah.
Finn, first off, Finn is a pretty good name. Finn Balor, it's pretty cool.
Finn Balor's pretty dope. I like it.
But here's the thing. He was Prince Devitt, New Japan and everything. When he came over to WWE or NXT, they changed his name right away.
Right away, yeah.
Walter has been with WWE now for over 3 years.
True.
Even though it's NXT UK and that's their whole separate island away from everything, he's still been under the umbrella for the company for over 3 years. Right. He has been NXT UK champion for over 800 something days. Mm-hmm. So he has been introduced to the WWE audience for over 3 years as Walter. Now you make the sudden change. So it's a little bit of a different situation here. It's not as clear like Finn Balor's situation. So
yeah.
That's the
I
difference.
think, Finn Balor came into a completely different system in NXT too. You know what I mean? Like he came in to a very different, obviously different people were running it who aren't there anymore. And so like, I feel like this NXT 2.0 is like a mini main roster, and they want people who are going to be there to right away. Like truly, I know we've always heard that Vince have always wanted, when you go to Performance Center, even though you've been wrestling for 15 years, you have to learn the WWE way, right? But now it's like he's really wanting you to not only learn the WWE way, but perform the WWE way out the bat. And now he wants like you say, he wants to own it from the jump now. Whether it works out on the main roster or doesn't, he doesn't want to have you have this huge run. In my opinion, I think like when you look at someone like AJ Styles, who didn't go to NXT, who just came right in, right? But you had several people who were in New Japan or, on the indies coming to NXT and who already had a name, and, they come to the main roster and Vince can't change them. He just can't, and, he wants people who he knows, I feel like, he could change, change a name, put them with a manager, put them with a pet. I don't know. Anything.
Well, and the other thing too is maybe I'm just guessing, like, listen, it's rare, but someone who comes in from the outside to WWE and keeps their name, it's rare, but we've seen it recently. Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly.
Yep.
They have come and gone now.
Yep.
And they're still using their names with the competition. So they got to build. They came over from Ring of Honor, pretty good notoriety, but they really got to increase their popularity and exposure and how many people know of them. Yep. Now leave and take that popularity over to AEW. So maybe WWE doesn't want to get burned again like that. And they're like, okay, no matter what, we got to change someone's name.
Yeah.
Maybe. So I don't know. I thought one way they could have course corrected is like maybe say Gunther was his last name and he's Walter Gunther now. Like that's one way I thought you can kind of keep the Walter, but no, it looks like they completely erasing Walter.
And you have a point and I've heard this from other people too. Like honestly, the fact that his name had been Walter from the beginning, he was the longest reigning NXT UK champion, right? So it's like, I mean, he's been such a force, and all these dream matches people talk about Walter and this person, Walter and that person. Oh, call Walter up. He even came to Raw, and against Seth Rollins, I believe it was
overseas.
He
could compete in Survivor Series.
Yes,
he's competing in takeovers as Walter.
So. It's just I get the aside from the name, I get the frustration, and it's like, oh, here we go again,
So we'll see what goes on, like I want to be positive. At the same time, I guess I'm glad I got those Walter shirts when I did get them back, last year and stuff. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I'm sure we'll keep discussing this at later times. But also on NXT 2.0, the last couple weeks, it's been the Dusty Rhodes, the Dusty Cup taking place. Great matches, tag team matches. MSK and Jacket Time this week was phenomenal opening match.
Yes.
It's unfortunate that someone had to lose because they're both great. I know Jacket Time, they've really been trying to, they've won the crowd over, especially good on them. Especially they had that terrible toilet promo, remember, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they could have got a win maybe in the first round and then lose to MSK in the second round. But the fact that it was a first round match, it was like, ooh, it's unfortunate that someone had to lose here. Great match. Totally recommend it. Was there another one? I'm trying to look real quick. Grizzled Young Veterans taking on Andre Chase and Bodie Hayward. Another first round match.
Yep.
Dude, NXT 2.0 had a lot of great wrestling this week. It was a lot of wrestling, not so much over the top long promos or long vignettes for just random wrestlers we don't know yet. They're just trying to throw it at us. It was focused on the wrestling again.
I feel like
nice.
I feel like over the last maybe the last month specifically, I think ever since War Games, NXT has been just, I mean, it's only 2 hours, but it feels like forever because I'm like, oh, how are they able to get this many matches in? Like, don't they have, isn't this just, it's not 3 hours, it's not Raw, right? And it kind of makes you think like, man, I wish Raw and SmackDown was like this. They can just get wrestling in as much as they can. But yeah, I love the jacket time scares me because I'm like, oh man, they're so going to be the comedy act once they get up to Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, or 24/7 scene. Yeah.
Oh man, I wish they would treat, I guess, comedy acts like they used to, in the Attitude Era. Like there was plenty of comedy acts that were still over with the crowd, that were still booked like they would be on the shows at least.
Crash Holly, right? Wasn't he booked kind of
Crash
goofy, but he was still winning. I'm trying to remember who else.
He was still winning some matches. I mean, Funaki and his deal, like he was booked a lot. But yeah, I mean, they had a lot of people. I remember Funaki and just because we're talking Rumble earlier, Funaki and Tonka, or was it? I think it was Tonka. He got thrown over the top rope in the Rumble, and he hit his face like right on the mat, like his face first, right on the mat on the outside. After I forget what Rumble that was.
Yeah.
It
was I'm jacket time. I want to see good things, big things from them, but for MSK. Really get the crowd back on their side as well. Phenomenal match. I was going to say, I like seeing Santos Escobar call out Bron Breakker. I think it's a great first opponent for Bron Breakker in his new title reign. Credible opponent who will help him. Santos is a great wrestler, so it's a great dance partner for him. We know Bron Breakker is going to win here. But nonetheless, it should be exciting. I do feel bad for Santos Escobar and just for Legado del Fantasma in general. I feel like they're just kind of aimlessly wandering. There's not a lot of direction for them.
Yep.
Hopefully there's a little course correction here, but we all know Santos is going to lose here at the end of the day. I know. We'll see.
I look at even Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde. I look at them and another two guys who are very talented, who I just feel like, man, once this Legado del Fantasma thing has run its course, I feel like there's just going to be nothing for them, just because I think they've also had a lot of opportunity to win the NXT tag titles, and they failed, and they just keep failing and keep failing. So it's a matter of time for they turn on Escobar and then they go away and become like a comedy tag team or something. I don't know. Or vice versa. He leaves them, and I mean, the way it seems now is there's nothing guaranteed. Like, if Vince likes Santos, he'll bring him up by himself with no explanation.
Well, he could be like the next Eddie Guerrero, as far as, he speaks Spanish and English great. And
I think he's one of those guys that would adapt. He's perfect for WWE, which is why I hope he stays. And I hope they don't let him go. He's I'm glad you said Eddie, because he's perfect. Eddie, when he came to WWE, he just fit in. He knocked out the park. Every role they put him in, every situation, he was so good at it.
Well, the thing is, and people for years are like, who's going to be the next Eddie Guerrero? And I think in the last few years, we thought it was going to be Andrade. Didn't work out. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be Angel Garza. he's been kind of in and out, like giving some screen time. Sometimes when Paul Heyman was running things, Angel got a lot of time. He's now in a tag team with his cousin on SmackDown. So, and they have a little thing with Viking Raiders going. So maybe, maybe let him do the tag team thing for a while, but maybe he can break off again. He does have some charisma. Yeah. But yeah, Santos Escobar, I think that's the total package. If they want like a Mexican wrestler that can be like an Eddie Guerrero type person. So I don't know. I want to see that. Which I was going to say, it was just interesting though. At the end of the show, Braun Breaker is outside. Legado del Fantasma drives by, kind of like threatening to jump him, and he's ready to take him on. Ciampa comes out to the rescue, and it's like, I got his back. And it's like, once again, Ciampa has like a feud with someone, and then he becomes their partner. Very much like we did with Timothy Thatcher. Now he's doing the same thing again with Braun Breaker. So he'll go to war with someone, and then afterwards he wins their respect, or vice versa, and then he'll become that person's ally. So we saw Ciampa, we saw Pete Dunne make his return as well, as far as coming in at the main event when Cameron Grimes was taking on Tony D'Angelo, and Pete Dunne got some revenge on Tony D'Angelo for their crowbar match on a pole match a couple weeks ago. Comes out, smashes Tony D'Angelo's hand, and Cameron Grimes picks up the victory in the main event. So Pete Dunne, Ciampa, we're doing some matches on main event on the main roster. Does this mean, like, I don't know, does Vince does not approve? Sorry, send him back to NXT 2.0. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of worried.
I don't know, man. They're lingering around. It's one of those carrying cross things, like they can show up on Raw or SmackDown at any moment during whatever feud or situation they got going on NXT. And, hopefully Vince will do right by it though, because I think one thing that also kind of like messes up NXT is that there's not very much acknowledgement. Like if one of those guys show up, let it be known, like, yo, this is from NXT 2.0. And he's got a situation going on. I mean, even with the Von Wagner thing, when he showed up and he was standing next to Adam Pearce, like I didn't have a problem with that. Many people did, but I was just like, it'd be nice if they were like, oh, that's Von Wagner from NXT. Yeah. He's protecting Pearce, I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, that's what it was. I was going to say, it looks like they're trying to do a little more crossover, though. You saw, was it the Raw exclusive, digital exclusive, Ziggler and Robert Roode, kind of promo, and they run to LA Knight, and they start talking to LA Knight. Like, oh, they're LA Knight. And then Roderick Strong just walks in the background. So, oh, they're both backstage at Raw. Are they going to be in the Royal Rumble? But also for LA Knight, he had a match on main event as well. And he looked great. His interest, he is born for the main event. So if LA Knight just goes straight there. So I'm excited for that. And then, would you say match of the night was the no DQ falls count anywhere between Solo Sikoa and Boa?
Yeah, I think so. It was the way it went, I didn't expect it to be that good.
It was bad. It went all over the place, just tearing each other apart.
Seemed like a really true street fight.
Yeah.
And good for Solo Sikoa. He calls himself the street champion. So I thought that was good.
I do, but that makeup of the like burn mark or whatever
fell off.
It looks so stupid. I think I get rid of that.
I think at one point he may have like snatched it off.
Oh, okay. Just ripped it off.
I think he just snatched it off.
Well, Solo Sikoa picked up the win, and this was like his first big challenge because he's been doing squash matches. So it's kind of nice to see him finally get some competition and put him to the test. So we'll see how he goes. All right, let's move on over to AEW Dynamite, last thing for this week's episode of In The Kliq. Beach break taking place from Cleveland, Ohio, which you don't think of Cleveland, Ohio as a beach town, especially in January where it's freezing cold in winter. But apparently there's a lake out there, so there is some beach type land. So I guess it works. We won't go through the whole card, but like just your overall thoughts on it. What your takeaways from it?
I wish it was on a beach.
More props at least, like, you know, maybe some more sand present, or like, you know, chairs and like beach equipment you would see.
Something. A little moat. I remember Nitro used to be was it, I don't know, I forget where it was, but they had like a little moat around the ring.
Was that Spring Break, right? The Spring Break.
There we go. Spring Break.
With Hall and Nash. Didn't they jump in or something?
Yes.
God, well, Hall, we all know Hall was really having fun. And was it Panama City Beach, Florida?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, God.
Panama City Beach, Florida. There we go.
I think a lot of people were anticipating Johnny Gargano make his appearance in Cleveland. He did not show up. He went on Twitter to say, hey, I heard you guys loud and clear calling for me. Because at one point they were yelling Johnny Wrestling.
Yeah.
Didn't show up. He's like, listen, you know, more or less, he's still taking time off, wants to be there for Candace when they have their baby. It's coming pretty soon. He just wants to be a dad. And I'm sure he wants to rest his body, all that stuff. And he said he will make it up to everyone. So,
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I kind of wonder if he'll show up at the Rumble.
I kind of wonder that too.
Like, I wonder if he really just resign. I don't know. I don't know. I really think, I don't know. I was talking with you about this. I really think Johnny, maybe if booked correctly, could be the next Daniel Bryan for WWE. The smaller underdog.
I agree.
I don't know. We'll see. But we did get a Danhausen debut. Very nice, very evil. From maybe people don't know, he comes from Ring of Honor, has a huge indie wrestling following. Just a very goofy character, like a goofy comedic demon look. You know, watch his interviews. He has a great interview with Conan O'Brien where he's unpainted, doesn't have the makeup on. Also, Chris Van Vliet, I think, went without makeup. If you want to learn more about his character. But yeah, it was during the lights out main event match between Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy. Adam Cole's trying to pull a chair up from the ring, and Danhausen just slides out trying to hold it. And then he throws his hands up like he's trying to throw like a spell or a curse on Adam Cole. And Adam Cole looks at him and then he just walks off. Danhausen's like, all right, I'm out of here. So it's just like so random. Interesting. So yeah, thoughts on Danhausen joining AEW, because then Tony Khan tweeted out the graphic saying he is officially All Elite.
Yeah, very cool, very entertaining. He's got he's another one of those guys who has a huge following. I think that one was legit a surprise, and I think it was. I think it came at an underwhelming moment, like an unexpected, right? Because I mean, it was Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole, unexpected, whatever. No one's expecting. I mean, I think they're also expecting Gargano, maybe too. But yeah, I think maybe get past the Gargano speculation show first, and then you have Danhausen show up, because again, to some people it's probably like, is it Johnny? Oh no, it's it's Danhausen, but oh man, we wanted Johnny, you know.
Well, the thing is, and I think Danhausen, from what I've known of him, he's a great get for AEW, because while he's not known for his wrestling, but he has entertaining matches, but he's a very versatile character.
Yeah.
They can have him do funny skits on Being the Elite. You have a presence there. He can do funny interviews. He can do funny comedic segments. You know, how they book him, that's going to be interesting, because very similar to like Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is a very specific gimmick character, which at times, you know, this Adam Cole feud has probably been really good for him. I know you and I we're not in favor of Adam Cole having this type of feud. We think Adam Cole's better than this.
Yeah.
But for Orange Cassidy, this has been great, because he was in that endless feud with Matt Hardy for months. Yeah. Yep. So for Orange Cassidy, this was a step up for him. But where do you go for Orange Cassidy from here? So in the main event, Orange Cassidy picks up the victory over Adam Cole. Shocking. But since it was lights out, it doesn't it's a loss for Adam Cole, but it doesn't count against his record. So that's a little loophole AEW likes to do, because they did that for Britt Baker against Thunder Rosa. They did that with Kenny Omega against Moxley. They like to do that. Okay, so now you know, lights out match. They do it to give one of their top stars a loss without affecting their win-loss record. You know, it's it was a decent match. It was okay.
Yeah.
The finish was kind of flat to me. Like, they climbed to the top of the set, and like Orange Cassidy's like barely hugging Adam Cole, and Adam Cole's like, no. It's like, dude, you could totally break away from that. Orange Cassidy's not holding you that tight, but yet Orange Cassidy still just drops. They drop through the side floor there. I did like how they shot it though. They shot it looking up, and then you saw him crash down, but you don't see what they went through.
Exactly.
They kind of learned from Blood and Guts and Jericho. Yeah. But the funny part is after they land, the ref's going for the pin, and he slips because the wood just still caves out under him. But he makes a 1, 2, 3. Orange Cassidy wins. I'm like, all right, let this be over now. Orange Cassidy finally got a win. Let's just move our separate ways. Adam Cole do something bigger. Yeah. So it was okay main event. Like I said, a little underwhelming, but let Adam Cole move on to bigger things now. I think this was a good little temporary feud to keep since he's not in the main event picture right now, but he should be in very soon. So
yes, hopefully.
But yeah, so with Orange Cassidy though, how do you book him now? Like, where do you go with him? He's such a tough character to book because he's not, intense. He's kind of nonchalant. Yeah. So how do you keep him interesting? That I know he's popular, but how you book him, that's the question here moving forward. Yeah. And then we got to talk about the opening match, though. TNT title unification ladder match. Yeah. Cody Rhodes against Sammy Guevara. Dude.
Jeff Hardy against Edge.
I mean, one for the ages. Yeah. Amazing match. Mm-hmm. I mean, between Cody doing the vertical suplex with Sammy off the ladder, did the crossroads off the ladder, Sammy doing the cutter off the ladder with Cody. That was beautifully shot as well and landed. Do want to give a shout out to Ref Aubrey. She did her job well. She wasn't in the shot, but if you look, she got down. She held down both ladders to keep it still. Because everyone's like, oh my God, Sammy looks so smooth. The ladders didn't fall from under him. Well, no, technically Ref Aubrey.
Gotta give it up to Aubrey, yes.
She was the secret weapon. She did her part. She held down the ladders so Sammy can jump over and hit the cutter off Cody Rhodes. And then he hit the Swanton bomb on the outside and hit Sammy did on the Cody. Like, that hurt his back.
That spot was crazy. That ladder said,
and then Sammy, picked up the victory. Cody, fell off the ladder, and Sammy grabbed both titles and had them both. And then later in the night, we saw him walking around with both belts. I wonder if he'll keep doing it, just keep both TNT titles around him.
I wouldn't be mad if he kept both titles. I think that's actually pretty cool.
Here's my one thing, and I saw some people on Twitter. I want to ask you. So a lot of people were kind of complaining. It's like, Sammy hit that cutter. Amazing cutter, but that was not the finish.
No.
You and I, we grew up watching DDP, Randy Orton, guys who hit their version of a cutter. That's the finisher. When that hits, that is the finish, and the match is over. Sammy, a lot of these guys, Cody as well, they use it I guess Jay Lethal uses it too. But it's just like a transitional move. I guess it's like the super kick now. It's just becoming just a regular move. I don't know. What do you think about Sammy Guevara using that cutter on such a high-risk spot, but not being the finish?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I thought that easily should have put Cody out, especially that high, that perfect. You couldn't execute a move like that move specifically, any more perfect than how Sammy executed it. So I thought that he definitely could have ended it on that a high note. It would have been great. But they got to give more.
It's and it's interesting though. So Sammy wins. Cody cut like a promo. Was it after they went off the air and said he's been working on a handshake deal. He still has no contract yet. So I kind of wonder if they took the title off him because of that. And, I wonder if... Yeah. And will he actually go to the Royal Rumble now? I think a lot of people are like, would he actually try to pull that off? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. I doubt it. But it's just fun to speculate on that part. And then two things real quick. Jericho, you think the Inner Circle are falling apart. Jericho and Santana Ortiz, they were taking on 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, but they were not on the same page. There was tension there. Yeah. Jericho at the end hit the Judas effect and walked away, and they still picked up the victory, but there's some tension there. Do you think Inner Circle is going to break up here?
I think so, and I hope so.
It's due. Yeah, it's totally due.
It's time, and it's time for Santana and Ortiz to figure it out, get back into that, top tier tag team division picture. Hopefully win the tag titles. If not, I don't know. Their future might be in jeopardy as well. I don't know.
Well, Santana Ortiz, they were like the hottest tag team coming to AEW.
Yes.
Free agents, and they haven't done anything in 2 years. So, I hope they win here, and I think it's a good story beat. It's like, listen, you've held us back, Jericho. We're due for bigger things, so I can see that taking off there. And then, what was it? Oh, CM Punk, MJF promo. So good. Once again.
Yep.
They're going back and forth, but MJF finally said, all right, I'll wrestle you next week in Chicago. And they're like, whoa, we're going to get this match next week, not on a pay-per-view? Next week.
Yep.
And then the Pinnacle attack, CM Punk beat the crap out of him. I was shocked. Does CM Punk not have any friends? No one came out for the save.
I was surprised too.
And then, MJF squats and sits on top of him cross-leg. And I was like, whoa. There was two ways people interpret that. Is he like sitting cross-leg, how CM Punk did for the pipe bomb? Or I saw on Twitter someone said, keep in mind, CM Punk gets compared to Kenta because they both do the go to sleep because Kenta did the move first.
Yep.
But Kenta, remember, he did that same thing. He sat on, oh my God, the guy in New Japan with the eye.
Naito.
Naito. He sat on Naito, cross-leg on his face, and held up both titles when he was the double champion.
Yep.
So the symbolism there, I was like, I wonder if that's a callback to that. And, because Kenta gets compared to CM Punk. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know. I'm just kind of interesting to see that. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, solid episode of Beach Break. I thought the first half was a lot better than the second half.
Sure.
Anything else from Beach Break that stood out for you?
Britt Baker's promo.
That's right.
That was another thing. I want to see Britt Baker wrestle more. I know that she's a good promo. I know that she's so good on the mic. Miles ahead of, the majority of the women on that roster. But I got to see her start racking up more wins. Hell, even if it's, talent that, even if it's AW Dark talent, I want to see her rack up more wins. I'm still wondering where Jamie Hayter and
Rebel.
What's her name? Reba. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if I missed it or what, but they're gone. I think I just want to see her start to wrestle a little more. I don't want to have to wait until big specials and pay-per-views to see Britt Baker wrestle, especially if she's going to be there, right?
Yeah, well, the other thing, too, is, with Britt Baker, though, she cut the promo, but it didn't really accomplish anything. She was just more ass-talking.
I think she's just talking
Ohio.
At this point. Yeah.
Because she's from Pittsburgh. She's a Steelers fan, and the Cleveland Browns in the same division. So she was talking crap to them. She brought her a terrible towel. But did it really accomplish anything? Like, it didn't really project her new storyline-wise with a new opponent. So it's kind of like a wasted moment there.
Right.
And there was what was the other one? We saw Lance Archer is going to challenge Hangman Texas Death Match.
Yep.
But yeah, like I said, second half fell a little flat with me. But the first half was a lot better. So All right, we covered a lot in this episode. We should start wrapping things up. I'm sorry we've been rambling for so long. Brian, where can the Kliqsters find you online?
Well, Kliqsters know they can find me at BrianTronic on Twitter and Instagram, at Within the Ropes. That's my show. It's coming back. I promise. It's coming, you guys. Okay, Within the Ropes. All right. Stay tuned.
And I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. Of course, for everything else, make sure to subscribe to In The Kliq wherever you get your audio at. Also on YouTube. Follow us on social media at In The Kliq. If you want to email me, inthekliq@gmail.com. As always, we thank you for the support. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line because Huey said so.